בוקר טוב לכולם. Good morning everyone. We would like to start. אני אתחיל בכמה מילים מהירות בעברית. אני אציג לכם את הדוברים היום ואת הנושאים ונפנה את הבמה. אני בן ויינר, אני איש פריסל בעולמות הדאטה פרוטקשן בעיקר בחברת אשנב מזה 4 שנים כבר. אנחנו שמחים להציג בפניכם היום בעצם מוצר הראשון והוותיק ביותר ל-DevOps Native Backup and Recovery, חברה עם מעל ל100,000 לקוחות בעולם. אני אעבור לאנגלית, שיבינו אותי גם שני הדוברים שלנו היום. Today's speakers are going to be Pavel, which is the partners channel, and Marcin, which is the product, he's the tech guy. They're going to present the product, as I said, the first and the oldest DevOps native backup and recovery product. Over 100,000 customers worldwide. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ben, for introducing us. Hi, everyone. Really happy to be here. Hope you are safe and sound today and the weather is bearable, just like it is in Poland. At the moment, my name is Pavel. I'm head of partnerships for GitProtect IO that we are going to talk about today. Today with me is also Marcin Wojtkowski. He's the customer success manager of GitProtect. As Ben said, he is the tech guy here, so he's going to do most of the talking. In fact, he's going to lead the biggest part of today's webinar about how to master your data protection. I'm here today to just give you a glimpse of why this topic of mastering data protection for DevOps, especially, is becoming more and more relevant and more urgent in today's world, right? So, well, first, big thanks to Eshnav, of course, for the team for organizing this session. Thank you very much. Thank you also for tackling this, unpopular topic that, generally doesn't always get enough attention. On the other hand, well, the number of the customers that we have says something different here, but generally we know that we need to spread the word before it's too late, in fact. So how to protect your DevOps data in the cloud age? Let me take 5 minutes of your time describing the issue that we want to tackle in today's webinar technically, right? So first, let's start with something that I believe we've all lived through, right? So the great shift between something that today is called DevOps or platform engineering or site reliability engineering or release management, whatever we call it. It used to be totally on-prem before. It used to be run by companies on their own premises. Today, it's quite obvious and natural for most of us, hopefully, to host our DevOps things and rely on platforms like GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, Azure DevOps, Atlassian tools like Jira, and some other that you probably know. Hopefully you are also using them. They are quite great things because generally they make our lives much easier. They are a fantastic tool for collaboration at speed, right? But on the other hand, they also introduced a new model of responsibility that is on behalf of the organizations, in fact, that we are still not totally aware of. This model creates a new area of threats that we are still, in fact, learning about. What I'm talking about is something that is called shared responsibility model. If you look at if you look at what cloud providers do, and I mean all of them, in fact, all the cloud solution providers, all the SaaS companies in general, they are very clear on this. When they deliver their product, they handle only the part of the uptime and the infrastructure for the product, which means that they deliver the product, they deliver the software, and they warranty that the product is up for most of the time, right? They are not able to handle anything that refers to what organizations do with the product, which means that they put data inside. So they manage and create users, they implement their policies, data protection policies, also marketplace apps, and whatever data you put into your DevOps platform is there and is your responsibility to bear with. So all of the big providers, GitHub, GitLab, Microsoft, Atlassian, they all recommend having an additional third-party backup software for data protection and policy compliance. The thing is quite easy to understand if you have a look at the excerpts here from the SLA agreements with, well, some of the most popular providers, right? So here comes Atlassian, here comes GitLab, here comes GitHub. None of them takes responsibility for the data that you put inside inside the software that you are buying from them. And I don't know, of course, I don't know you, the participants here, but you can guess that, I very often hear, and it's really surprising. I hear that from the CTOs. I hear that from a lot of technical people when I ask them about data protection within their DevOps platforms, when they just go like, oh, we don't have to worry about that. We have cloud. That's the moment that I start smiling normally, because it means that we need to talk about your SLA a little bit more. Well, anyway, shared responsibility model is something that we all have to deal with. And you cannot really blame it on the providers, because they are in fact unable, and they shouldn't be able to access our data, right? The data that we put and use within the software. What are the general threats that we are dealing with according to this policy, to this shared responsibility model? The most popular of those, they are listed here in the slide. When it comes to the importance of them, it's for sure that accidental and unintentional or intentional deletion is the most serious of them. If you take a look at the things that happened, for example, to Microsoft Azure in Microsoft DevOps Azure in 2023, it was in May, I believe, when there was an incidental or unincidental deletion of one server in Brazil that caused over $1 billion of loss, because it was down between 9 in the morning and 10 in the evening or something like that. You can see that the threat is real, right? So accidental or intentional deletion, automation bugs, cloud outages, of course, insider threats, whatever they might be, in fact, and of course, the thing that we all need to learn dealing with at the moment, which means the increasingly sophisticated ransomware that uses AI to pick the targets and to work on them effectively, right? These are, in fact, no longer theoretical. This is something that we are dealing with on daily basis. Hopefully, not all of us, hopefully not the people who participate here, and hopefully we never will, using the right strategies to protect ourselves before that. Just a case from last year, Jira, 132 incidents during the year that count up for 266 working days of outage, right? I believe that anybody can calculate how much it could cost, yeah, or at least we can imagine that. The interesting thing is that 33% of them were of major impact, as well as 33% of them being of no impact at all. In fact, well, anyway, these are the numbers that say it all, right? So the other thing that we deal with today is compliance pressure. Well, whatever you call it, SOC 2 Type 2 in the US, NIST, ISO 27001, DORA, and other regulations, they are pushing the organizations, they are pushing all of us to do regular backups, to improve them, to test the recovery policies, to encrypt your data, and so on and so forth. That's what, well, on one hand, these are the regulators that expect that, but on the other hand, it's the customers who expect our services to them to be reliable, to be secure. So this is also what our customers expect. So it's often where, also as we see that, it's often where the native platform tooling just falls a little bit short of, right? So this was noticed also by Gartner. It was also in the advertisement for this webinar that by 2028, 70% or 75% of enterprises will prioritize backup for backup of SaaS activities, of SaaS applications as a critical requirement by of course learning on their mistakes compared to the 15% that is dealing with those things proactively today. So which side you're on depends generally on the actions that you take. The solution that we are going to show you in a second, that Marcin is going to run for you live, has been recommended by Gartner in 2023 already, when they named us without giving us a quadrant yet, how to select DevOps. The report that was called "How to Select DevSecOps Tools for Secure Software Delivery." So you can also have a look at that. And well, the thing that we are going to show you in a second is something that is a comprehensive ecosystem for data protection strategies. It's not a backup tool. It's a whole thing that deals with the security of your data. But as I said, I'm not here to deliver sales pitches today. So I'm giving the floor to Marcin, who's going to show it live. Of course, any type of questions are most welcome throughout the show. We will try to reply to them as we go or in the end of the webinar. Thank you very much. If there are any questions as to the business side, naturally, I'll be happy to reply. Marcin, take it away, please.
Hold 1 minute, Marcin.
Yeah.
Just want to remind everyone that if you have any questions during the webinar, you have the Q&A box on the bottom. We already have a question, Pavel. It's for you, I think. Can we get the slides for the webinar at the end?
Of course. Naturally, if there's a technical way to do it for the participants,
we'll publish it with the
webinar on the website.
Recorded. Yeah. We'll publish the recording plus the slideshow.
Absolutely.
Is that okay, Thanos? Yeah. Great, Marcin, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much. So let me share the screen, and I hope you can see it already. So welcome. So as Pavel mentioned, so we are offering a more of a comprehensive solution rather than just a simple backup tool. It's more of a complete package. So the solution I will be demonstrating today, it's a kind of a older brother of GitProtect. This is a bigger tool which also has got some additional options. So that's why you can see some additional features in the interface. But when it comes to protection of Git resources, of project management tools like Jira or Azure DevOps, the capabilities of Xopro One, the solution you are seeing right now, and the GitProtect are absolutely the same. So during our work with backup tools, we've established a number of features which we find quite interesting and worth paying attention to in the backup tools. So some of the best practices or some of the most useful features and functionalities that your backup tool should be offering you. And hopefully, as I will go through the demo, I will be presenting some of those. So of course, starting from the beginning, backup is a critical tool, a critical process in your organization. This is something which is going to make your life more secure. And so also one way of making sure that the backups are safe is also having adequate ways of logging into the tool itself. So as you can see, even in here, we've got a number of options we can choose from. We can log in, let's call it traditional way, using usernames and passwords. We can use also dedicated identity providers. So for example, Entra ID or OneLogin or Okta. And of course, you can also, this is the method I'm going to use, you can also use your SSO. So if you're working with GitHub, you can just use the credentials from your Git platform to log into the tool itself. And here we are. So, of course, this is the welcoming screen. This is the dashboard of our solution. So in here, at a glance, you've got a very good overview of how you are performing, where you are in terms of securing your environments. Of course, as you see, it's a demo instance, so most probably in the real world, you will not see a platform with every possible Git repository in here. But as you can see, I've got practically all of them integrated, and I can see that they are, apart from my Jira, they are all pretty much secured. I can see also some additional details of how the backups were running for the last 7, 14, or 30 days. So I can see if it's everything going okay, or if I've got some small warnings and errors. Later on, I can also see details of individual runs and also things which happened within my instance, within my system. So I can see who logged in, who logged out, who initiated some changes, what kind of tasks were scheduled, and so on and so forth. So how we start working? Of course, we do that by integrating our GitHub, GitLab, Azure DevOps, Bitbucket, or Jira. We can do it in here via Add New. As I mentioned, I've got some additional functionalities, but in here, we've got all of the Git repositories, Git environments, and Jiras available. So just pressing a single connect, providing adequate credentials in the form of either usernames and passwords, personal access tokens, GitHub apps, all means are supported. Then we come and we get integrated environments of ours. Then later on, of course, so we know exactly. So right now we know what we want to protect. We want to protect our, for example, one of our Git repositories. So, for example, my GitHub organization. So then, of course, the second thing which is crucial is where we want to store it. So with backups, it's quite crucial to have it stored in a safe place. We don't want to run into a situation like, oh my God, our server is failed. Do we have a backup? Yes, we do. Where is the backup? On the server. You don't want to run into a situation like that. So when it comes to available locations, so first things first, GitProtect is always coming with the Zopro cloud storage bundled in at no extra cost. It's all covered in the license. It's unlimited. It's got unlimited retention as well. So even if you do not have any of your dedicated storage, any of your either cloud disks or any on-premise devices which you want to use for the backup, you are always ready to go. You can use this storage. But apart from that, of course, we are able to integrate additional storages. And as you can see, the range of complying devices is quite significant as well. So you can easily use any of common S3 storages like AWS, like Wasabi, Google Cloud, Backblaze, any generic S3 compliant providers. But also you can use your network locations like SMB or NFS, and also with so-called local workers installed on any local Windows or Linux machine, you can use even the local directories. So as you can see here, I'm using 2 folders on my local hard drive of the laptop I'm delivering the demo from right now, and I can use that as a storage for my backups or for my replication, which is another useful functionality, which I will present in a minute. So we know exactly right now what we want to secure. We've got the place where we will store the backups. Right now, another thing is to decide exactly which pieces of data we want to secure and how often we want to do that and for how long we want to keep it. And of course, some of the solutions, they provide you with some kind of a manual triggering, but the important part is to keep it as automated, to keep it as hassle-free as possible. And this is what the policies or backup plans in our solution do. So as you can see in our organizations, I've got the assign plan button, and this is exactly what I'm going to do. As you can see, I'm already securing my GitHub with a number of those plans, but let's go through the process and see how straightforward it is and how flexible it is in order to make your backups fitting your actual needs. So right now we are creating the backup plan. Let's give it a recognizable name. We are protecting our, in this example, GitHub. Then we can select exactly what we would like to protect. So am I interested in protecting? Of course, the recommended way is to protect everything in your organization. But let's imagine that I have got, for example, maybe few repositories, which I'm using right now quite extensively. They are changing very dramatically. They are changing very dynamically. And I would like to select those 3 repositories that these are the crucial ones, and I want to have them backed up more frequently. So I hit apply. I've got a confirmation that I'm selecting 3 repositories for my backup. Then I can also very granularly tailor which meta information, which metadata I'm going to secure. Of course, by default, everything is turned on. So right now, we are coming to this information, which I've covered a bit earlier. So right now, I can choose which of the disks which I have got at hand I want to use for my backup. So right now, I'm going to use my default one, which is the Zopro Cloud. And we are coming to the critical part of setting the schedule and retention. So we've got a number of options how we can plan and how we can run our backups. So there is, of course, a basic solution, custom. Then there are also options for forever incrementals, and also the so-called GFS, so grandfather, father, son, which is a combination of full backup, incremental backup, and differential backup. Quite typically, I would recommend using the custom option. The reason for that is quite simple. We've got a very flexible approach in here, and we can decide exactly how often I would like to run my full copy and the incremental copy. So let's imagine that, as I've mentioned, those 3 repositories, I consider them quite crucial. So, okay, let's imagine I want to have a full backup of them weekly. I want it to be done, let's call it maybe on Saturday, somewhere in the middle of the night. And then for incremental copy, as you can see, I can schedule it to be run daily, maybe except Saturday. Let's keep it again at 2 a.m. But in case I've decided that, okay, these ones are really critical, I want to have them backed up hourly, I can select that, okay, I want to have them backed up before I start work. I want to have them backed up after 4 hours. And I want to have them backed after another 5 hours, and potentially one more after the day's end. So right now, I'm going to be backing those 3 repositories 4 times a day. So I'm sure that no changes will be skipped. Nothing will be put at threat. So at every moment, I will not be losing more than just a few hours of work. Then some additional settings. So in case you are working in multinational environment, we know sometimes the time zones can be a bit misleading. So I can make sure that, okay, right now I've got a confirmation this is my time zone. So those times, they will be applied using this time zone settings. So no mistakes. I will not run into some form of hiccup. And last but not least, the retention. So depending on the nature of your business, depending on the policies you want to be compliant with, depending, of course, on your own internal approach. So you can decide, okay, is 3 months enough for me? Should it be longer? Okay, maybe I want to keep full year of my history of backups, so I can fully decide. We can also decide by number of copies, sorry. So we can decide, okay, I want to have last 30 options, or in case we don't know how to decide, we can always keep it forever as well. This is the thing which differentiates us from our solutions. We are giving you a real flexibility in here, including the option to keep your data backed up forever. Right now, maybe I will not go that crazy. Let's imagine that, okay, I want to have 3 months of all the copies, and hit apply. I've got a confirmation, and I'm hitting save. So right now I've got in here confirmation. Okay, my full backup is going to be running on Saturday in the middle of the night, and incremental backups will be running every day at those times I've specified. Additional settings, of course, we are talking backups, so we are talking security, we are talking compliance. So, of course, options for encryption. We can choose the level of encryption we want to use. I will stick with a recommended 192. Of course, I can bring in my own passwords. I can create it anew. In case I don't want to make it anything else, we can just use the default encryption key. Some additional settings like compression turned on by default. We always want to make backup runs smooth, quick, as efficient as ever. Some additional settings in case you are operating on a very specific environment where we might face some, I don't know, network limitations, or in case of backing up a huge amounts of data, we are always able to overcome, for example, REST API limitations by providing additional credentials. And of course, last but not least, email notifications. We want to know what exactly is happening with our backup. So for every of our backup jobs, we are able to provide a list of email notifications, which will be sent afterwards, and we can decide if we want to be informed about everything. Or, for example, maybe we are not going to be bothered about successful things. We just want to be informed in case something goes not so well, in case something finishes with warnings or with errors. And of course, I would have to provide my...
Yeah, this granularity also refers to the business context, so that, you know, particular people can be informed about particular things without getting their inboxes spammed with everything that moves, right?
So I've added myself as address, and I can hit save right now. So we've went through the settings. So as you can see, the configuration is just a few minutes, and we can tailor it really to match our needs, match our business reality. So right now I've got just two options. I can hit just save or save and run. Right now I'm going to hit save. And as you can see, I've got it here, and it's going to start in 1 second. Because that's the schedule, and exactly I've included 10 a.m. as one of the time points when the backup should be initiated. So right now, if I just hit reload, okay, yeah, thank you. Yes, I want to close the notification, and as you can see, the backup is already running. So we can see it in here in tasks. We can see that the current task is Eshnav demo. It is in progress. We've got all of the information. We can always check what is the progress where we are with securing of our resources. So also the full history of these tasks is present in here. So we can see what were the plans which were initiated, at what time, when they finished, how long they took, what was the outcome. We can retrigger some failed tasks in case we know something went wrong. And of course, in here also, we've got a full overview of what was protected, what was the size, what was the backup type. And we can see the details more in here. So this is always visible in here. We can always see what was happening in our backups. We've got also the second tracking, let's call it, option. So we've got the logs, and in here it's not only concentrating on the actual backup or restore tasks, it's also containing information about, for example, about me logging into me or any other user logging into the system, modifying or creating the backup plan, and so on and so forth. So we've got a full information, we've got a full overview of who did what and what was the outcome of it in our solution. Okay, so the backup is still running. I think it will take probably a few minutes. So this is the first part. So this is the backup part. Sometimes we say it's a smaller half, but right now let's imagine that we want to restore something from us. So it's again typically restoring your backed up information. Typically it is more complex process. But with our solution, it's about as simple as it can get. So let's imagine that I want to restore something from my repositories. Let's imagine that somebody deleted one of the repositories. Okay, so those ones are right now, they are in progress. But let's imagine that I've, by mistake, somebody, I don't know, deleted, for example, this repository here. I've got the information about the plan, which I can use. Okay, so this one is covered just by one of them. As you can see, I've got a full history of time points to which I can restore. So if I know that, okay, something wrong happened, let's imagine a few days ago. So then I can simply just go and select the correct point in time. I hit next. Right now, this is a part of the true disaster recovery that our solution has got to offer. So with most of the native platform-bound solutions, you are typically forced to restore to the same type of organization, typically to your original one. But with our solution, in case even, let's imagine that your whole GitHub world is down, the service is no longer accessible, and you really have to keep on working, then you've got option to restore the repositories to a different Git hosting solution. So for example, right now I'm restoring from GitHub, but I can navigate, for example, try to restore it to GitLab. If I hit next, I've got, of course, some of the warnings that the Git platforms, they are quite similar in their architecture, in their capabilities, but they are not identical. But I'm getting a clear information that some of those things, like, for example, hooks, they cannot be restored from GitHub to GitLab. So I'm getting a full overview of what is available and what is not. So right now, maybe let's stick to the most common scenario, so restoring to the same platform. And so right now you can see I've got everything which will be restored. I've got also option of restoring to local device. So in case I've got a need of restoring a Git repository locally, I just have to make sure that I've got a Git locally installed and I can restore it even to my personal laptop. But right now, let's restore it to the organization. And as you can see, I do not necessarily have to restore to the original or to this one. I can select any other. Let's imagine that I want to maybe migrate some of the repositories between my organizations as well. So right now I'm clicking save. And the most important part is that GitProtect will never overwrite anything in your system. So this is another element of protection. This is another element of adding security. So we do not want that somebody kind of, even by mistake, just like a simple mistake can happen, that somebody deletes the repo by mistake, by incident, such thing can also be triggered from here, that we might initiate a restore, which will be incorrect, and it will result in some data being simply overwritten. So this is not what GitProtect does. GitProtect always creates your repositories as new ones. And we can also perform this in a number of ways. So by the first option, default, is adding labels so we can differentiate. But we can also simply make sure that, okay, I want to restore it to, and I can save it. Okay, it's restore from Monday. So it will be restored with a custom name. In case I'm restoring multiple repositories, not a single one, I can, instead of renaming them one by one, of course, GitProtect can do it automatically. We'll add a suffix, but typically a suffix would look like, I call it a cat typing on your keyboard name. So instead of automatic one, which is created by GitProtect automatically, we can say, okay, create me a suffix. For example, like this. And right now I can get rid of a label. And if I hit restore, I've got some warnings that the GitHub Teams restore might not be available. And right now I started restore as well. So, okay, I can see in the meantime some additional backup plans kicked off as well. But right now I've got this restore stack, listed in the queue of the tasks which are about to be performed. And I'm not sure what's happening with my GitLab, with my GitHub, because it's kind of running low. Okay, but as you can see, so this is how you would typically restore the things from your Git organization to another GitHub or to another Git organizations. And like I mentioned earlier, so everything is trackable, everything is available for you to check how the system is working, what was happening in it. So any kind of compliance reports, for example, in case you are interested in SLA reports, we've got an automatic SLA report export functionality in here for the last month. So you can see exactly the last 3 reports available in here. the next report date. So when the next report will be generated is available in here as well.
So something I also think, is worth paying attention to is that this cross-platform restore that Marcin was talking about is very often used by our customers as like a nice side effect that we have while, for example, migrating your on-prem instances to cloud instances and switching platforms or not, right? So
using it as lift and shift.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so those are the core functionality. Oh, maybe one more, which I was mentioning earlier. So, so right now you can see, okay, we've got the backup plans, so we can create as many of those policies with desired frequency of running, with desired retention policies. But I mentioned that we are able to use multiple storages. So there is a so-called golden 3-2-1 backup rule. So the 3-2-1 rule, which says that you should have at least 3 copies of your data. You should be storing them in at least 2 locations, and at least one of those locations should be located outside of your business premises. So regardless of what happens, is it a physical threat? Is it a natural disaster? So that you can always resort to more than 1 copy. So of course, we can do that by creating multiple backup plans to multiple solutions. But those things, those backup runs, they use a so-called API calls. And each of the Git repositories, organizations, or Jira or Azure DevOps, they've got the so-called API rate limit. So you cannot kind of harass or spam the system with calls asking for data. You've got a limit for those. And each of the backup runs will, of course, use those. But we've got another way of overcoming this instance. So we can create so-called replication plans. So as you can see here, okay, sorry, I'm just going to get rid of one of those so that I can use the disk, because I probably run out of the storage locations to be used. But right now, I can select a replication plan. You can think about it as a bit of an automatic backup of a backup. So, okay, I know that my backups, they are stored in my Zopro cloud. So I'm using this one as a source storage. And I've got additional ones. So even my local hard drive, any kind of resource located on, I don't know, maybe any kind of server in your organizations. Or, for example, I've got an Azure blob integrated as well. And I can simply decide, okay, backup, or simply create a carbon copy of everything which is located on my main storage to an additional one, and run this replication. Okay, maybe not every day, but I want to have it run on Wednesday and on Friday, sometime after hours. I hit save. Okay, I hit save. I've got a bit of a warning that the storage, the destination storage is not empty, but and the data which is existent there right now might be overwritten. But yes, and I've got my replication plan that everything which is backed up on my Zopro cloud will be replicated to Azure. Next run is in 1 day. Of course, I can always trigger the plan manually as well. Okay, and I know it was quite packed. I know it was quite intensive, but in a nutshell, this is what our solution has got to offer. Okay, I see a question. Where is Xopro Cloud Storage hosted on? Yeah, so a very good question. Our Xopro Cloud Storage, it is also an S3 storage, and it's hosted on Wasabi. And you might have noticed it that, okay, so right now you can see that my one is located in Zopro one in EMEA region. We've got 3 geographical locations, so you can choose it in order to fit your requirements. We've got a storage location in Europe. It's physically located in Netherlands. Another location is North America, close to Washington, D.C. And the third location is in Australia. So for our Australia, Asia, Pacific region clients.
And we are about to open the Canadian location
Yep.
at the moment, yeah.
Well, of course, I can present it once more, but this is all what I wanted to show. So I don't know, guys, if you have got any additional questions, then feel free. Happy to assist you with any queries, any doubts you might want us to dispel.
I'm also putting some more fun stories for you to explore when it comes to real DevOps outages in the last years.
Yeah, in the chat, Pavel.
They are in the chat.
In
Yeah.
the chat.
Yeah. So I also put a link to something that we annually release, the State of the DevOps Threats Report, which is by GitProtect, but also some independent news of the most famous things that happened and cost a lot of money in the past. So maybe you can find that useful while discussing this, if this is related to your organizations or not.
I've also added my email. Should you need any more information, you want to talk to Martin or Pavel again, we can always do the connection. Of course, we'll be delighted and to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, there was also a question about pricing. So
I think I'll do it in Hebrew. לגבי התמחורים, כמובן, אתם מוזמנים לפנות אלינו, תקבלו הצעת מחיר לפי הצורך, כמובן, לפי הסייזינג, נכון ותקין, הצעה מסודרת, מחירים של שותף, אין מה להגיד, תמיד עדיף. אם יש עוד שאלות, בקשות, אתם מוזמנים. Okay, guys, I think we're good. Thank you very much for Paul and Martin. That was enlightening.
Thank you for hosting us. Happy to help.